The Nvidia driver installed on your GPU right now is silently classifying your workload, and the FTC can't stop it. The agency investigated. They issued a settlement. They called it resolved, and the code is still running. Tonight, we're exposing the specific mechanism Nvidia buried inside a proprietary binary that no regulator has ever been allowed to read. Every Nvidia GeForce card ships with a software stack called the display driver. Officially, it's just the layer between your hardware and your operating system. It handles frame output, memory allocation, shader compilation, standard infrastructure. Nvidia has shipped versions of this driver to over 300 million users. It runs silently in the background of every Windows machine with a green logo on the GPU. Most people never think about it. The driver is closed source, Nvidia's proprietary binary, audited by no one outside the company. Inside that binary, buried in a layer Nvidia calls the kernel mode driver, there is a classification engine. Nvidia says it's for optimization. The performance data tells a different story. Here's what the classification engine actually does. Every time your GPU starts a compute task, the driver interrogates it. It checks the API calls. It checks whether you're in a virtualized environment. It checks the memory access patterns. And based on those signals, it assigns your workload to one of two performance tiers: consumer or professional. If it decides you're running a professional workload, machine learning inference, scientific simulation, large-scale rendering on a consumer GeForce card, performance drops. Not a crash, not an error. A quiet, unannounced degradation that makes your $3,500 RTX card perform like something worth a fraction of that. The mechanism isn't in the hardware. The RTX 4090 and Nvidia's Enterprise A6000 share the same silicon architecture, the same memory subsystem, the same shader cores. The only difference is the driver, and the driver is making a business decision your GPU never agreed to. In 2021, Nvidia announced the RTX 3060 would ship with built-in cryptocurrency mining throttles. Light hash rate, they called it, designed to redirect GPUs away from miners and back to gamers. The FTC took notice. Then a developer discovered Nvidia's own beta driver accidentally disabled the throttle, and Nvidia quietly released a fix within days without announcement. The FTC opened a review. In 2023, they settled with Nvidia for $5.5 million, specifically for misleading consumers about whether the throttle had been bypassed. Nvidia paid. Nvidia moved on. And the throttle architecture, the underlying detection and classification system that enabled it, was never mentioned in the settlement, never audited, and never removed. It's still running. Here's the part nobody reported. The throttle mechanism isn't a toggle Nvidia can switch off. It's structural. The classification engine lives inside a module called NVLDDMKM, sys on Windows, the kernel mode driver. That file is a proprietary binary blob, encrypted sections, obfuscated symbol tables. Reverse engineers have spent years picking at it. What they've found is a telemetry handshake that runs every session. Your driver pings Nvidia's servers on first launch. It transmits a hardware identifier, a persistent, non-resettable device fingerprint generated from your GPU's firmware. Nvidia's documentation calls this the NVAPI telemetry pipeline. They say it's for crash reporting and feature optimization. But the data leaving your machine includes workload classification flags, the exact same flags the throttle engine reads internally. The FTC settlement covered consumer advertising claims. It said nothing about the telemetry architecture. It said nothing about the persistent identifier. And the legal structure that protects all of it is the agreement you accepted when you installed the driver. Section 2.1.1 of the Nvidia GeForce software license explicitly prohibits use of GeForce hardware in data centers. If the driver detects a data center environment, it is contractually authorized to degrade performance. Not because Nvidia broke the law. Because you agreed to let them. The detection mechanism and the telemetry pipeline are features, not violations. Think about what that means for your machine right now. If you're running local AI inference on a GeForce card, which millions of people have started doing in the last 2 years, your workload looks identical to a data center workload. Same API calls, same memory patterns, same compute profile. The driver can't distinguish between you running an AI assistant on your home desktop and a cloud provider violating the EULA with a server rack. And it doesn't have to. The classification engine is designed to err on the side of throttling. Every AI task you run locally, every large model you load into VRAM, every inference call that looks professional, the driver is evaluating it. Right now. You are already inside the classification system. You just don't have visibility into how it's scoring you. and Nvidia is under no legal obligation to tell you. Nvidia sells the RTX line to consumers. They sell the A-series and H-series to enterprises at 10 to 40 times the price. The hardware is increasingly indistinguishable. The performance gap is maintained in software. The FTC settled without reading the binary. The EU investigation stalled on jurisdiction. And the question no regulator has answered. If the code that enforces the pricing gap is legally protected, structurally embedded, and impossible to audit, who exactly is it that's supposed to stop it?